Today's story comes from a young woman living in Dock Lock. She recounts an incident that happened in the family of her cousin, whom we will refer to as Zujia. Zuji's house was located not far from the storyteller's own. This story took place a few years ago. Back then, Zuji's family consisted of 3 members, the couple and their 5-year-old daughter. They lived in a rather old and run-down house. After saving up for some time, they finally decided to demolish the old house and build a new, more spacious and comfortable one. During the construction process, Zuji's husband went to the backyard to dig a pit, intending to use it as a water reservoir. However, as he dug deeper, he noticed that the soil was unusually soft and loose. He began to suspect that the earth might have once contained a decomposing human body. Concerned, he called Zuji's mother over to take a look. When she arrived, he said, "Mom, this soil feels really loose and strange, almost like it had a body buried in it before. Can you check if that's the case?" But Zuji's mother replied,
"No, that's not it, my son. Come on now, no one has ever died here. I've lived here for decades and never heard of anything like that. Just keep digging."
Reassured by her confidence, he continued to dig. Still, a part of him remained uneasy, unable to shake the feeling that the land had once concealed something. Yet, trusting his mother-in-law's certainty, he convinced himself that it was probably just his imagination. However, the deeper he dug, the more uneasy he felt. The soil in that spot was excessively damp, which didn't seem right. In the end, he decided not to use the pit for storing water. Instead, he turned it into a place to burn trash, and the soil he had excavated he used to fill in and level the foundation for the new house. Once the new house was completed, the couple moved in. At first, everything seemed normal and nothing unusual happened, but after a while, strange things began to occur. It started with Zujia herself. She began to feel constantly tired and fatigued, and her mood turned inexplicably irritable and short-tempered. She would argue over the smallest things, which was completely unlike her usual friendly and easygoing nature. Then at night, the couple began to hear the sound of footsteps pacing back and forth on the roof. Their house had a tin roof with ceiling panels installed underneath, so any sound above could be heard very clearly, and loud, thudding noises right overhead. But whenever Zuji's husband went outside to check, he found nothing. They eventually dismissed it, assuming it was just a cat running across the roof, and tried not to think much of it, even though the sounds continued to occur from time to time. Later, it was their daughter who began to behave strangely. Every few days, she would tell her mother,
"Mom, I saw a man in the house. His teeth are long and really weird. Mom, he's up on the ceiling."
But whenever Zujia looked up, she saw nothing. She assumed her daughter was just being playful or letting her imagination run wild from watching too many movies. As time passed, the couple noticed that their daughter was becoming increasingly thin and pale. Her appetite diminished severely. Initially thinking she might be malnourished, they tried to give her nutritional supplements and cooked nourishing meals. But no matter what they did, her condition worsened. She barely ate and her health declined rapidly. Worried, they took her to the hospital for a full checkup. After running tests and examinations, the doctors delivered a devastating diagnosis. Their daughter had leukemia. The news that their daughter had leukemia struck them like a bolt of lightning from a clear sky. A shock so sudden, so brutal, it left them breathless. What was worse, that the doctors said the disease was already in its final stage. There was nothing they could do. The family could only prepare themselves to say goodbye. They couldn't believe it. It just didn't make sense. Their daughter had always been perfectly healthy, full of energy, cheerful, eating well, laughing every day. She had only started losing a bit of weight recently. How could it possibly be terminal leukemia? Refusing to accept this cruel fate, they took their daughter and traveled everywhere in desperation, from Hanoi to Hue and then to Saigon, visiting all the biggest hospitals in search of a glimmer of hope. But everywhere they went, they were met with the same heartbreaking verdict. Final stage leukemia, untreatable. Every hospital turned them away. In despair, they brought her home. It was during these last painful days that something strange began to happen. The girl, weakened and pale, started saying things that chilled them to the bone.
"Mommy, I see that man again. His teeth are really long. Mommy, look, he's right there."
But no matter how hard they looked, her parents saw no one. It was only then, when all else had failed, that the couple began to consider the unexplainable, the spiritual, the unseen. Zujia, the mother, started asking around friends, acquaintances, until finally someone pointed her to a spiritual master, a man known for seeing what others could not. She went alone to see him. The child stayed behind. In a quiet, incense-filled room, she poured her heart out.
"Master, my daughter used to be healthy, her cheeks rosy, always happy, eating well. But out of nowhere, her health just plummeted. The doctors said she has terminal leukemia. And now, at home, She keeps looking at the ceiling, saying there's a man up there. A man with very long teeth.
She didn't mention the newly rebuilt house, she didn't bring up the strange sensation she had been feeling, nor the odd noises at night. The master sat in silence, fingers moving in a slow, methodical calculation. Then suddenly he looked up and asked, "Did you recently rebuild your house?" Zujia blinked in surprise.
Yes, master. Our old house was falling apart, so my husband and I rebuilt it. It's been a little over a year now.
The master nodded, fingers clicking again as if counting something unseen. Then he spoke, "I need you to be honest with me. Since moving into this new house, have you felt anything strange, anything different from before?" The question hit her like a wave. Suddenly, it all came flooding back. She remembered how ever since they moved in, she had felt constantly uneasy, irritated for no reason. Her body felt heavy, tired. Her mood shifted unpredictably, anger flaring up without cause. And the nights, there were sounds, scratching noises, soft thumps on the tin roof, and the memory of her daughter talking about the man with long teeth. It had started before she ever got sick. Only now did Zujia begin to realize that this wasn't just an illness. Something else was lurking in their home. Something not of this world. And with a trembling voice she told the master everything without leaving out a single detail. After hearing everything, the spiritual master calculated with his fingers again and said, "Your daughter is being followed by a male demon. It has been attached to her for a long time, but you didn't know and didn't come to see me sooner. Now it's too late. It has already drained her blood and life energy. I can't save her anymore," he continued. "Tell me, did your husband dig a hole behind the house when you were building it?" At that moment, Zujia suddenly remembered the pit that her family now used for burning trash. She replied,
"Yes, master. Back when we were building the house, he dug a hole intending to use it as a water tank. But later, it didn't seem right, so we turned it into a trash burning pit."
The spiritual master nodded gravely. "That hole was the demon's dwelling. When your husband disturbed its resting place, the demon came into your house and began haunting your daughter." Then he asked again, "Now tell me this, shortly before your daughter started getting sick, did you slaughter a duck for food? And while doing it, did the duck's blood splatter onto your daughter?" Zujia tried hard to recall, since it was such a small and insignificant event at the time. After thinking carefully, she remembered. Yes, before her daughter began to lose weight, she had indeed slaughtered a duck in the front yard. At the time, she sat in the yard cutting the duck's throat while her daughter sat nearby on the porch watching. When she made the cut, the duck's blood spurted out and splattered onto the steps, and some even hit her daughter. She replied to the master,
"Yes, I did slaughter a duck, and its blood did spray onto my daughter." She immediately got up to wipe it off.
The spiritual master shook his head. But it was already too late. The demon took that opportunity to attach itself to her and has been draining her life force ever since. Now I cannot help her recover her health. However, I can summon the demon so that you may speak with it. If you are sincere and plead with all your heart, maybe, just maybe, it will have mercy and let your daughter go. But I must make this clear. I can only help expel the demon, not heal your child." Hearing this, Zujia broke down in tears. The master stood up, lit incense, and began chanting softly, calling upon the spirit. Once the ritual was complete, he returned to his seat, sitting across from Zujia. He continued mumbling under his breath, and after a while the spirit entered him. When it did, his face turned bright red, and the voice that came out of his mouth was no longer his own. As soon as the spirit possessed the master, a furious voice burst out,
"It was me. I'm the one who followed your daughter to take her away. Do you know why? It's because of your husband, and because of you. Back then, your husband dug the pit behind the house, and realized the soil was loose and disturbed. He knew it was from a decomposed body. He knew, but he still continued. He even asked that old woman, and in the end, he still went on digging. I was right there, and you people started dumping trash and filth right where I rested. That's why I had to enter your house. I made you tired, irritable, aching all over. I'm the one who walked on your tin roof. I'm the one your daughter saw. I wasn't going to take her, but you just had to slaughter that duck. When the duck's blood splattered on the steps, the same dirt from my resting place, I drank the duck's blood, and then immediately moved on to your daughter's. This is all your fault."
The entity continued, saying it had died over 100 years ago. Then it let out a chilling, maniacal laugh and suddenly left the master's body without giving Zujia a chance to beg for her daughter's life. When the spirit was gone, the spiritual master sadly said, "Now all I can do is help you expel the demon. But as for your daughter, there's nothing I can do. I'm truly sorry for your loss." Zujia returned home in sorrow and despair, sobbing until there were no tears left. About a week later, her little girl passed away. The grief and heartbreak the family felt was beyond words. After the funeral, Zujia and her husband went back to ask the master to come to their house and banish the demon, as they feared it would harm someone else. The master returned, set up a ceremonial altar and performed a ritual to expel the spirit. From that day forward, peace gradually returned to the family. Zujia no longer felt agitated or irritable. She went back to her usual self. The strange noises from the ceiling at night also stopped entirely. But the longing for their daughter never went away. One day, overwhelmed by sorrow, Zujia asked the master to summon her daughter's spirit so she could speak with her. The master performed the ritual and the little girl's spirit entered him. She cried a lot and told her mother,
Please don't be sad anymore, Mommy. I've already left. But Mommy, I can't come home. Even though I'm dead, I still can't come back home.
She explained that outside their house along the street there were many other wandering spirits.
There are so many of them, and every time I try to come home, they block me from entering. The offerings you leave at home, they take them all. I never get any of it.
So Mommy, she sobbed,
If you and Daddy want to make offerings for me, please take them to my grave. Only there can I receive them, Mommy.
After the spirit of her daughter left the medium's body, Zujia broke down in tears and asked the spiritual master about what the girl had said, that there were many wandering spirits along the road in front of the house. The master explained, Those wandering souls out on the street won't harm your family. Just follow my advice. Go home and build a small shrine right at the front gate. If you're diligent, light incense daily. If not, offering something once a month is enough. That way they'll stay there and won't bother your household anymore. Taking his advice, Zujia returned home and told her husband everything. Her husband then built a small spirit shrine in front of the house. He faithfully lit incense every day and made monthly offerings. As for their daughter, Zujia didn't know for sure whether the girl's spirit was now able to come home after the shrine was erected. But to be safe, every time she wanted to make offerings for her daughter, she would bring the food and gifts directly to the girl's grave. From this story, we can draw a few important lessons to keep in mind. First, when building a house, if you notice anything unusual, like strange soil, odd smells, or abnormal sounds, you should investigate thoroughly right away. In this case, the person mentioned in the story had died over 100 years ago, so it's likely that his bones had long returned to dust, but that doesn't mean the spirit was gone. Second, after moving into a new house, if you start to feel that something is off, such as a constant sense of unease, unexplained fatigue, body aches, irritability, or unusual tension in the family, pay close attention. If strange sounds occur at night, or if someone in the household suddenly becomes ill without a clear cause, it's wise to consult a spiritual expert or seek proper inspection to make sure nothing sinister is going on.